Water saying they paid the city to cover the garbage contracts?
I'm going to invite Fidelis here. I will, and we're going to start turning a segment of this into my TED talk, right? You like that line? I thought about that one. Once again, our only goal is to ensure that we have reliable information and that we're working hand in hand to ensure reliability and equity in the work being done across our city. We want to be the biggest cheerleaders of JXN Water to benefit because their success, their true success, equals our success, right? And in that process, we can tell no lies and claim no easy victories, right? We have to be honest with people, and we can't start dropping a mission accomplished banner when people know that there's still a challenge there. There are still challenges there. And if we do that, then we lose faith and confidence of people that we're working and rolling in the right direction in order to eliminate their decades of water insecurity. And so I want to be clear in why we illuminate the differences in what is being told to you, what is being advertised, and what is reality. That is why we illuminate those things, because our people deserve to know the truth. Fidelis.
Hey, good afternoon. And so in my response, I think when you go back to look at the numbers that were shared last week, there's a variation, right? When you compare the numbers that were in the report, from WLBT, then you look at the numbers that were shared through the press release last week, all those numbers differ. But to address your question specifically, the amount that was shared is nowhere sufficient to cover the cost for operating solid waste. And one thing we have to remember is the cost for that particular division is not only the garbage collections contract. Remember, we have disposal fees, right, to a tune of $2 million. Then we do have personnel costs to manage the division. We also operate a landfill. And so when you add up all that cost, that revenue is nowhere sufficient to cover the cost.
You said that the extra cost besides the contract was $1.275 million per month for the city?
For that particular division, so roughly about $1.275, $1.3 million.
For the solid waste division?
Correct, a month, yes.
And that's why we should defer to not making statements without full information. JXN Water wouldn't know what it takes to run our solid waste division. They've never been involved in that. They don't know. They didn't consider the fact of, roll-off dumpster days or the landfill. You can say that there's enough money to cover the contract if the contract was the only thing that we had to worry about, right? And so that's why information is key. And then there's another thing. Once again, tell no lies, claim no easy victories. Once again, the report that said they didn't have information for January, right? Well, they submitted it to us. Maybe they forgot that, right? Maybe they forgot they gave us the January report, right? And so you had information for January at one point in time. So either you want to tell us, oh, that was wrong information we gave you, or you need to tell you that we actually did have information. So either you lied then or you're lying then. Yes, sir.
Can you explain, how do these meetings between the city of Jackson and JXN Water work? Do you guys meet once a month?
No, we don't.
And who are the people that meet to discuss these reports?
So per the agreed stipulated order, there's a requirement that they meet with the city of Jackson. When we started this process, right, we were meeting on a consistent and routine basis every week, in fact, right? When around the time where I passed out water filters to pregnant women and homes with children under the age of 5, and I was summoned to court to explain my hideous act of passing out water filters to people, while simultaneously the health department was requiring us to issue notices saying that if there was a challenge because we had not complied or we had not fulfilled a corrosion study, that could be a vulnerable population. And I was simply doing it to give confidence and to give a layer of protection to those communities. And we thank United Healthcare for their donation and other people for their donations to help us fulfill that. That's around the time that the communication stopped, right? And so what they do, they were communicating with our public works department in what was affectionately known as Tuesdays with Ted from one of our public works individuals. But they stopped communicating with my office. They stopped communicating directly with me. And so when I'm beating the drum, y'all, I want you to know I'm a truth teller, right? I'm going to tell you what's going on. If I don't have information that can assure my residents that things that are happening equitably and correctly and the communication is going on, then I'm going to sound the alarm, right? I'm going to tell you because at the end of the day, we're not going to wait for that train to run into the wall and say, well, Mayor, why didn't you say something to us? Why didn't you let us know? And so there's limited communication that goes on now. Limited to no communication. There's almost no communication that happens with me. But there are discussions when the schedule is maintained, right? That they will meet with somebody from Public Works every so often.
And who is that person?
Well, at the time it was Robert Lee. Mr. Lewis Wright has meetings scheduled. I believe their last meeting, and I'm not suggesting this, their last meeting was canceled for a reason, and then it was rescheduled, and that one was canceled. So hopefully we get back on track with the conversation because it's far too important, right? As we said, we've been in the business of working with residents for some time now. We know communities that you don't know, right? We know the communication patterns of this community versus that community and why it's important that we all be engaged. And so that's important to the process.
And when was, sorry, just one more follow-up. When was the last time you had a face-to-face with Ted?
Oh, man. Court?
So June?
Last time you saw me have a
July of 2020.
Last time we had a face-to-face was when we were in court.
Why do you think it's been so long? Besides just...
I have my speculation, but I will refrain from just speculating and just say that it needs to happen.
Hi, I'm Deja Henry with the Marshall Project, so I'm new here, so stand up. But my question is, do you have any update on the status of the curfew incentives that you mentioned? What those would look like, and